What is up, guys? It's your boy Voopkakis, and today we're going to be taking a look at the loaded question Nightfall Fusion Rifle, added back into the loot pool within Season of the Deep. Now, this is not a brand new weapon. This was one of the original pinnacle weapons way back in the day, and oh my goodness, if you guys remember the OG loaded question, that thing slapped. Then we got it reprised as a Nightfall weapon a few seasons ago, I believe, and it's back yet again. However, this time it has some all new perks within its perk pool, including some combinations we have never seen before, rolls that no other weapon in the entire game other than the loaded question can get. So, this weapon is currently dropping from this week's Nightfall Fallen Saber. If you do Grandmaster, and if you get Platinum, you're guaranteed to get an Adept version. Now, importantly, intrinsically, the loaded question is a high impact frame. Now, that was literally the best archetype in the entire game. Right now, it's currently out of favor. However, I would always recommend trying to get good weapons of all the different archetypes, simply because Bungie buffs and nerfs archetypes so often. So one season it might be trash, and the next season it might be literal god tier. Now, importantly, this can actually get the brand new perk Controlled Burst. This is causing a lot of hype within the community and especially within Fusion Rifle players, because this is potentially the new best PvE perk for Fusion Rifles in the entire game. And the reason is because it will actually increase your damage and your rate of fire if you land all of the rounds within your burst on a singular target. So if you're fighting, bosses or champions or any sort of big enemies that you actually want to do more damage to, this thing is going to massively increase its damage output. Like increasing damage and rate of fire, that's the double whammy of DPS. Now, in addition to that, it can get some great support perks. So what I actually have here is Overflow, where picking up special or heavy ammo will instantly reload the weapon and double its magazine size. So I actually have a magazine extending a battery perk as well, so I simply walk over a special brick and I have 12 rounds in the magazine. Obviously, combined with Controlled Burst, that is an insane amount of damage output. Or is it? Well, let's actually find out. So, previously, I did a video on the Techian Force. Now, this drops from the Last Wish raid. It's craftable, and it's the only other fusion rifle in the entire game right now that can get Controlled Burst as a perk. So I did a DPS test. I'm waiting for Callie here to do her ritual so she stands still, and I'm simply unloading on her. Firstly, I have a rapid fire frame fusion rifle with high impact reserves, generally considered a great DPS option for a fusion rifle, and with that I actually did 115,000 damage. Now, switching over to the Techian Force that had, at the time it was rewind rounds combined with Controlled Burst, you can see that increased the damage all the way to 140,000 damage, and that really showed how much better Controlled Burst makes your damage output with a fusion rifle, because in this test, a rapid fire shooting way faster and way more rounds should perform really well in this test. But how does the loaded question perform in this same test? Well, loaded the raid back up, again waited for the ritual to start and unloaded, and as you can see, the loaded question actually did 140,000 damage, almost identical to what the Techian Force was able to do. So, guys, everyone is freaking out about how good the Techian Force is. It is arguably the new best PvE fusion rifle in the entire game, based on Controlled Burst combined with either rewind rounds or reconstruction. So the fact that I just tied its burst DPS with the loaded question shows you that even on a high impact frame, Controlled Burst is extremely viable. So again, if you're not able to get the Techian Force and you can actually farm the loaded question, it really is a viable and powerful fusion rifle. However, again, it can actually get some things that the Techian Force can't. One of those is Overflow. The Techian Force can't get Overflow, and Overflow is actually a pretty good way to massively increase your DPS combined with a Controlled Burst. However, it can actually also get Auto-Loading Holster. Now, reconstruction on the Techian Force is going to act in a similar way, but it takes more time overall for you to reload those rounds. If you're using your fusion rifle with an auto-loading capability, you're doing a boss fight and you're using your heavy mainly and you want your special specifically with auto-loading, that's something that the loaded question provides that the Techian Force maybe doesn't. And in fact, the loaded question is one of the few weapons in the game that actually benefits from getting 2 perks in one column. And here's what I mean. So this is another Nightfall weapon, the Hothead, and again, it has 2 perks in that first column. And I will use both of them to gain an advantage. This rocket specifically is what I use to one-phase the final boss of the Ghosts of the Deep dungeon. So I will rally when I have field prep on so I get more reserve ammo, and then I will switch to tracking so that when I'm actually damaging the boss, I hit way more shots. So I'm actually able to take advantage of the fact that this can get 2 perks, and the loaded question can actually do the same. So if you get Overflow, and your second perk, instead of being what I got firmly planted, is instead Autoloading Holster or even Demolitionist, what you can actually do is put on Overflow, walk over a thing of ammo, double your magazine size, and then go into your menu and switch to that second perk, to Autoloading Holster, for example. So then when you go into the damage phase, you're still gonna have that 12-round magazine, but now Autoloading Holster will be working. So you can go to town with those 12 rounds, switch to your heavy, shoot that, and then switch back, and you'll have another 6 rounds, right? And that is really, really cool. And even with Demolitionist, you could do the same thing. You get that double magazine size with Overflow, you switch to Demo, and then you shoot all 12 rounds, you chuck a grenade, and you instantly get another 6. That is really, really cool. And again, there is like such a few amount of weapons in the entire game that can actually get a discernible advantage from having 2 perks, and the loaded question is one of them. So that's definitely a reason to try to go after this weapon. Now, it's going to be extremely hard to get. You actually have to get more lucky than a normal God roll because you have to get 2, perks in one column instead of just the one you're looking for. But if you do get it, it's pretty darn sweet. Now, I do also want to mention, instead of Controlled Burst, you can actually get Reservoir Burst. So the first shot in your magazine will cause 25% more damage and the enemy you hit to explode. That's what the loaded question traditionally got, and it's pretty fun and decent for ad clearing. So if you're not interested in using this for damage output, definitely go with the Reservoir Burst perk. And that definitely does combo with Autoloading Holster and Overflow, especially because actually with Overflow, I do believe every single round until you get back to the normal magazine size will trigger Reservoir Burst. So your first 6 shots will be doing 25% more damage and causing enemies to explode because of Overflow doubling the magazine, so it's more than full, right? So that is a cool interaction as well. Overall, guys, again, the quality of the perks here are phenomenal. The high impact frame isn't exactly meta, but if it does get buffed, the loaded question will be one of the better options available to use. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.